Hello and welcome everyone, Michael here from Atavism team. Today in quick tutorial I'll show you how to prepare environment for Atavism server using Google Public Cloud and using their virtual machines. To start, we'll need to have a Google account. I have already. So after you log into the console, you will need to go to the computer engine, select VM instances, and here I'll create a new virtual machine. When you log in, or when you're creating first account with Google, you will get around $300 of free credit. So you can use this for anything there. I'll use it for this virtual machine to show you how to do this. First of all, we'll just change the name. I'll call this Atavism 01. Here we can select where we'll locate the virtual machine. So for the best performance, you'll select the close to you location. For me, this one will be perfect. You can select zone. Here, you can select a computer parameters, so you can select CPU and amount of RAM. Like you can see here, you can get from the pretty small ones, or actually this one will be the smallest one that we highly don't recommend, or even this one. It's also too low in spec for us, but all the standards are fine. We'll perform this the installation on this N1 standard one, but it can go up to a super massive 160 vCPUs and nearly 4 terabytes of RAM. Up to you. Just one more thing to help you select parameters. Here it's a calculator how much it will cost you to run these virtual machines. Here is per month and here is per hour. Don't look expensive, and the $300 will be enough for around a year for running this virtual machine. Around a year, because there is a fee for outgoing data and incoming data. So you need to remember about that. But as for the tutorial, I don't worry too much about this. Here I'll select my Linux installation image. I'll select Ubuntu Minimal. That will be pure system. Here you can select their standard or SSD. If you're doing this just for beginning of development, I'll recommend to leave this on standard. It is around 4 times cheaper than the SSD ones. But again, as I'm doing this for this video, just for a tutorial to show you how to do this, I'll use the SSD. Here you can change the amount of space that you will have. The 10 gigabytes for this tutorial is more than enough. So we'll just select that. And what more do we need? We need to manage this. And here we need to, in security, will be recommended to put on a SSH key instead of username password. And to generate it, you'll need to have a PuTTY. When you install PuTTY, you'll have option to run the PuTTY gen. That will allow you to generate a key. So we have all the basic parameters. We'll just press generate. And to generate it, you need to move this mouse around this field. When you stop, the progress stops. So you just need to continue until it finished. Okay, so we have the key. One of the things to do in my case will be I'll just rename this comment to Atavism. Here I'll recommend to use some password, but as it is just for this tutorial, I'll leave this blank and save private key, as this one is the pretty much important, the most important part. Yes, and I'll just save this on my desktop and call this Google Okay, we'll save it. The second part is here. We need to just copy this and paste it here. Okay, now we'll just create this instance. When Google creating for us the virtual machine, we'll go to next part. As by default, there is access only through the SSH. We need to add additional parts for our Atavism setup on Unity. So we'll go to networking, and here we'll go to Firewall Rules. By default, you'll see here Firewall Rules. I leave this internal, so we'll create from scratch the kind of external rules. So I'll create Firewall Rule, and what we need to remember, basing on the Atavism wiki. Scroll too far. That's the parts that we need. So range of parts on TCP and UDP. We'll call this Atavism. If you're keeping everything in kind of one virtual machine, you can put on all parts in one. But if you're keeping if you're separating the virtual machines, like you will have separate virtual machine for the database and separate virtual machine for the Word server, you can just create additional rules. It will make it simple. Atavism access parts. Okay, so network is default. Priority, we'll just leave this as it is. Ingress, that means it's incoming to the virtual machine. Then we have a action, so we will allow the traffic. And here we need to specify to what it's going. In our case, all instances in this network, as I'll have just one virtual machine. If you'll have multiple virtual machines, there are other options to deal with it. Here I'll just specify my all of the IP addresses that will have access to these parts. In our case, we'll use just 0.0.0.0/0. That will mean everybody can connect. And then we need to specify the parts. We can select, well, you could select allow all, but it's extremely dangerous. So we'll just specify parts. So first part is the 5040 to 5060. It is a range. And based on this example, we'll just do the Control V. That. Then we'll put on here comma. The next parts are the 9005 and 9010. And the next one is obviously part 5090. Just make a space there. Like you can see here. This part exists in both TCP and UDP, and it's just single part, so you don't do a hyphen sign in between. We'll also need to put on a part for the MySQL database and part for the SSH access. So we'll add here part 22, and we'll add part 306, and that's the all ports for now. The part 3306, it's for the database. We could create additional rule here, or we can set up also rule on the server itself. So I'll allow access to this by default, and to save our time we'll also enable the UDP rules, and these parts are kind of duplicated. They're basing on TCP and UDP ranges, with the exception of the part 22 and 3306. That will be all here, so I'll just press create. There is also option, now you can see this, it's here. There is also option to use a static public IP address. By default, when you power off your virtual machine, the public IP address will change. If you like to keep it, you'll just make it static, and we'll call this Atavism 01. That's reserve IP address. That is a premium service, so it is paid option, but it will make your life easier. If you don't plan to restart a virtual machine frequently, or if you like to just go and just change the IP address in your config, you can do this, but this one is just quite handy. So the IP address is assigned. We'll just copy it there, and we'll return to our virtual machine. So our virtual machine, like you can see here, it's running. It's worth to mention that if you don't need to use, or you're planning, longer holidays or just some gap in development, you can always shut down the virtual machine to save some money, so your credit will last longer. And we can now access the console of this server. It will take a few moments. Now you can see here we have access to the virtual machine. We have also option to change Linux username. We'll call this Atavism. So the system, Google will do the magic for us, and we'll just change the username. Like you can see here, we are as user Atavism. Now what we'll do is we'll switch to the super user mode, and we are now running this as root. So we'll go to the up, and now what I'll do is I will install the Atavism, but before that we need to prepare a environment. So we need to install Java, we need to install MySQL, we need to install zip to unzip the server files, and a few other handy tools. Okay, but for now we'll just upload the Atavism server package. That will take a few moments. And as we are doing that, I'll connect to this server to our public IP address of this server. It's not always working, so I'll just type it. So the username is Atavism and then port 34.77.24.242. If it's your, again, static IP address, you select the option to have static IP address. You can save this, but before you do this, you can go to authentication, and here we'll select our key that we generated earlier. Google Cloud 01. I'll just save it and open. It's just discovered that there is a new key, so we'll go ahead. Like you can see here, straight away, without asking for the password, as it was using the SSH key that was generated. So it will make our life easier now. And as we did on the web console, we'll also do this here. So we'll just switch to super user mode. So we are now the super user. We created a script that will make your life easier when you need to prepare a new server. It is currently available for the Ubuntu, but with time we'll make it available for additional distributions. Okay, so now we'll just create a text file and we'll call this SH. And looks like we don't have the nano command, so apt we'll need to run this command apt update just to update repositories. That will take also a moment. And now we'll just try to install okay, so the nano should be installed now. And we'll just, the script that I have here, I'll just copy this. Then to save it, you can press F2, press Y, and press Enter. Now, the next part, we need to just make it executable. So, mode plus X, and then file name. Like you can see here, now we have a Atavism Enviro and we have also the Atavism server files. But to start, we'll run the Atavism Enviro. This will take a few moments, but it will save your time in typing all the commands. So after the installation finish, we'll follow the next few steps. One of them will be just unzipping the Atavism server files, but that's in a moment. Okay, so like you can see here, we also added the rules that we added on the Google Firewall. But just to make it even more safe, I'll also add this here. There is a question: do we want to enable the firewall? Yes or no? In my case, I was just select yes. And here there is a plugin. The next part, it's the MySQL, securing the MySQL. Do we want to use the plugin? In my case, I don't use this as it is just tutorial. In your scenario, it is up to you. Okay, so now we need to create a new password. I'll just create the password I'll create. It's Atavism, and we'll re-enter it. Okay, and here by default all yes. We want to make it as clear as possible. So now our environment is ready, almost actually ready. There is still to do part, and one of these to do is allowing connection to the database, and here we'll specify or you will select whatever you prefer. If you have static IP address, here you can just select and enter the static IP address, and that will restrict access only for you, so only you will have access to this database. And if you have multiple users from different places or multiple public IP address, static public IP addresses, you can enter them by just multiplying these rules a few times. Or if you have dynamic IP address, it is way less safe, and remember, it's always best practice to secure access to the database as much as you can. But as it is tutorial, I'll just select the second option. Okay, so this part is done. Now we'll need to create a new user in database and give it privileges. So to do this, I'll just copy that and use the password that I created a moment ago. It was a Atavism. Okay, and here the first task that we need to do is create a user. We'll select the password. Again, password, it's very important. In my case, it is just tutorial, so. And here we'll need to select also the name of the user. It is pretty much predicted it will be Atavism. Again, it is up to you to select the name for the database user. Okay, so we have now user for the database. We'll grant him a external access. So for the user that we created just a moment ago, we'll grant access from everywhere. Okay, so this part is done. Thank you for watching. Hope so that will help you to start with this, and see you on next tutorial.